I'm Bree the Plant Lady, and welcome to my kitchen. If you watched any of my videos this fall, you probably saw the giant Seminole pumpkin vines, and what I'm processing today is the fruit of that harvest. The Seminole pumpkin was shared with me by the Florida Master Gardeners. They said it's the pumpkin that will tolerate high night temperatures, heat and humidity, and they were right. I ended up harvesting about 40 fruits, and I wanted to make sure that I brought them in and preserved them so I could share this deliciousness with friends and family this holiday. All right, so the process is relatively simple. You take a whole pumpkin and you cut it in half. And then you core out the center, removing the seeds. I'm doing seeds to be able to share to grow and seeds that I'm gonna roast. And then I've been microwaving the halves for about 2 minutes just to make it easier to cut through, because you want to remove the green skin so that all you're left with is the orange pulp. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is add the cubed pumpkin, which is just roughly cubed, because this is gonna cook down and I'm gonna use an immersion blender, so the size doesn't really matter. And then I'm just gonna add, some apple cider, and it's sort of like, halfway full of apple cider. I'm gonna add more pumpkin to this pot, do one whole pumpkin in this. So the funny thing is, I don't really like apple cider, but I had it because my mom was telling me about this cocktail and I never got around to making it. And so I did this as like an experiment just to get rid of the apple cider. And it turns out this is the best thing I have ever made. Literally, I wouldn't make a video if it wasn't. So I highly recommend getting some apple cider just to cook your pumpkins down into. Okay, now I have it, a whole pumpkin cubed into the apple cider. I'm gonna add a little bit of fresh ground sea salt just because I think a little touch of salt is always a good idea. Again, I don't measure, so I have no idea what I just did. And I'm gonna add a little bit of cinnamon. Again, just sort of a little dash. And this is gonna cook for probably 35 to 45, maybe a little longer, 35 minutes or so. I have it on like 3/4 high. And you can see this is one that's been cooking now for already about 30 minutes. It smells so good. So this is almost ready to be immersion blended. I'm gonna let these cook down just a little bit more, and then I'm gonna immersion blend it to the consistency of kind of thick applesauce. All right, so this big bowl is 2 Seminole pumpkins cooked down with apple cider made into this sort of pumpkin sauce. So I'm gonna let this cool. I've got 2 more batches going on the stove. Well, I only got 4 pumpkins done, and I'm not gonna lie, that was a lot of work. The pumpkins are so hard, even microwaved, it's a serious struggle to get them sliced up. But that's 4 more than I had used earlier today. So I just read about canning pumpkins, and the reason I've never done it is because you don't do it. You can can the cubes of pumpkins and you have to use a pressure canner, which I don't have. Otherwise, you need to freeze everything, which is fine. I have an extra freezer and freezing is easier than canning. It's just that I've gone ahead and cleaned a whole bunch of jars. Oh well, you have to read directions, and I just assumed that I could can pumpkin and you can't. So lesson learned, there you have it. And by the way, anybody watching this, if you have ideas on how to slice pumpkins easier, please tell me, because I've still got like 30 more pumpkins that I would like to use, but there's no way that I'm going to go through what I just went through 30 more times. So there you have it. Well, I am calling today's Seminole pumpkin processing a success. I've gotten quite a few jars ready and even a few Ziploc bags that I'm going to freeze, and then as we see friends and family over the coming month, be able to share some of this homegrown, delicious pumpkin sauce. Thanks so much for watching and happy holidays.